Well, hello class. I wanted to help you with this particular link in putting together your major essay for this course. I know there's a lot of work involved here, but it is 3 credits in 3 weeks, so we do have to show those proficiencies for what we are learning. But I think this essay is going to be kind of fun putting together because you will have the autonomy to be able to choose a topic of your choice, which I think is going to be very important. Now, let me go through the process of putting this paper together. The first part of putting the paper together is going to be to, first of all, figure out what it is that you want to write about. Okay? Now, something you feel passionate about. It could be anything at all that we've covered in leadership. It could be you might want to talk about one of the videos that you observed in a particular area, such as coming from the building blocks of leadership. Maybe you might want to talk about power. But most of my students in the past, and I've been teaching this course for many years, have written about somebody that they looked up to and they had admired as a leader. And we've had many examples of different types of leaders that we really thought did a great job in what they did, whether it be leaders from the past or modern day leaders, could be anybody. But once you've decided what you want to write about, you want to develop a topic. And before you do the topic, it's important to look at a hypothesis. Everything builds around a hypothesis. What is a hypothesis? It's nothing really more than an if-then statement. It talks to what you think your research is going to bring you to before you actually do the research. In other words, what is it that you think now? If you thought now that when it rains the sky is blue, well, that's your hypothesis. That's what you think. And of course, we know that after we go through all of our research, we'll know that it doesn't rain when the sky is blue. And that doesn't mean what you thought is going to be invalid when you finally do your research. We call that a null hypothesis. The null hypothesis is the very reason why we do our research, to try to change how we think based on facts that we've discovered rather than opinions that we've previously had. So develop a hypothesis. For example, if you wanted to talk about Mother Teresa, you might want to say, I think Mother Teresa, this would be a hypothesis, I think Mother Teresa was a fantastic leader. And the reason would be because she had a lot of charisma. Remember, a hypothesis is not a lot. Don't give me a big introduction with about 5 sentences. A hypothesis is a simple statement that talks about what you think now in a flash. I think President Kennedy was a transformational leader because he had the ability to motivate large groups of people toward a common goal. That's a hypothesis. Now, once you've developed your hypothesis, you want to come up with maybe 4 or 5 goals that support your hypothesis. Okay? For example, you might want to say, if you're talking about Kennedy, goal number 1 might be, Kennedy was an influential leader because he was able to get us through the Cuban Missile Crisis. Goal number 2 might be, Kennedy was not afraid to take risks because he was able to stand up to his cabinet and his military. Goal number 3. So you probably get the point of how each goal supports the hypotheses. So if you come up with 4 or 5 goals in short spurts, each one of those goals now will become a separate section of your paper. And each goal, after you do the research on that goal, will have supportive documentation to back up what you've researched. So now, if you've got 5 goals, you already have 5 references. Now, what can you use as references? You can use my lectures. You can use the notes that were uploaded for you from your book. You can use one of the videos that I've put up as a reference. You can use your PowerPoints as a reference. There's so many things that you can use as references. You can even interview someone. Just be able, just be able to document your references. That's really important. The other thing that's essentially crucial here is the body of your paper. As I said, each goal becomes a separate section of your paper. I prefer that you do the paper in APA, but MLA is fine. The paper should be written double-spaced, professionally written, and make sure that you're able to put up references if you're doing APA within your paper. And I know there are many nurses in this class, and I'm pretty sure all the nurses have done APA. But as well, you want to document all of your references on a separate sheet of paper. So having said that, how long should the paper be? The paper should probably be, if you have 4 or 5 references, a typical paper with a workable hypothesis. The body of the paper is usually about 5 or 6 pages, tops. Okay? That's not a lot double-spaced when you think about it. Now, one sheet of paper at the end of the body of your paper, you're going to have a summary. Now, how do you write a summary? Well, a summary is very simple. All you do is you pick up the highlight of each one of the goals of your paper that you wrote a separate section on, okay? And then what you do is you take a sentence from each section and talk about what you found through each progression of your goals. Then you write a conclusion. A conclusion is nothing more than a couple of sentences. It basically says whether or not you proved the hypotheses. Is what you thought initially what happened? In other words, if you thought Kennedy was a charismatic leader because he was able to get us through the Cuban Missile Crisis, or because he was able to stand up to his military, or a combination of those things, that's what you do. You say, yeah, for these reasons, I proved my hypotheses, he was a charismatic leader. If you think he wasn't, that's your null hypothesis. Then you write why you think he wasn't a leader as a result of your research. So, in conclusion, your summary and your conclusion page, I should say your summary and conclusion, should be on one page. So, here it is, the long and short of it. Your paper looks like this. There's a title page, centered with your name, your course number, and the date and the professor. The topic of your paper is also on the title. Call it whatever you want. I usually wait to write my topic after, the title for the topic, after I do my paper, really. Then, on another sheet of paper, page 2, your hypothesis is put in the center of that paper. Nothing else, just the hypotheses. Page 3 would be basically your outline, which is going to be the goals, the 5 or 6 goals that support the hypotheses. That's page 3 already. The rest of the paper, the other 4 or 5 pages, whatever, Quality work, I'm not necessarily counting words. I want to see quality. It's about 5 pages or so. That's the body of your paper. That comes next. Then, one sheet of paper after that, and that is going to be your summary and conclusion. Then, the very last thing you put is a reference sheet. List all of your references, and your paper is done. This is due the last week of class. From the time you read this, which would be Sunday, tomorrow, the 10th, okay, you would have already started thinking about your topic and putting together your outline and your goals and stuff. So by next week, you're into the writing of your paper. Now remember, it's a very concentrated course, so you're doing all of this, budget your time well, while you're doing your other stuff in the course. You still have another essay and 6 more participative threaded discussions. But again, remember, those threaded discussions are only 2 paragraphs. Okay? It's a cakewalk. The second essay you're going to do at the end of this week is going to be just like the first one I'm asking you to write. I have asked you to write that you've turned in, that's due the 11th, or you will be turning it in. So that's about it, folks. Again, if you have any questions, you got a little blog in there that is going to allow you to ask questions for me. Go into the blog, into the Q&A, write your question, or give me a call, or text me, whatever you need. I'm here for you. Okay? That's it. Good luck.